Up, guys? Friday night live streams. Whoever jumps in, let us know where you're from, what type of engineer you are, and what type of engineering information you are looking to find out, and we can answer those questions right away. So it is October 23rd. Also would love to know how you guys are doing this semester in engineering, what your biggest problems are, the questions in general that you have. All of a sudden there's going to be like 10 or 12 or 15 people in here. So go ahead and just get your questions rolling in the chat. Usually takes a couple seconds for people to be here. What's up? What's up? What's up? I think this is working. It's always a little bit of a delay in the stream until we get rolling. Should be fine though. I don't think there's any issues. Check, check, check. Hey, Robert. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let us know where you're from and what you're up to in engineering, what I can help you with right now. Stream's always got a little bit of a delay. Hey, guys. Yeah, shoot me with other questions. What's up? No problem, Robert. Yep. MD Horror, how you doing? Taking signal and systems in the semester. Hey guys, I'm doing this live stream outside. Let me know how loud it is, if I need to move, and if it's really annoying. There's like a couple of things of equipment over here, but I really want to know. What's up, Justin Smith? What's up, Abdulaziz? How you doing, guys? Doing? Let me know whatever questions you have. Derek, hey, how you doing? What's good, guys? Make sure you join the Discord. We're gonna be doing more live streams in the future. Yeah, we can just do open Q&A, guys. Honestly, just let me know what you're up to in engineering, how I can help. We don't really have a huge agenda with live streams usually, because historically what goes down is I would start off with some sort of educational programming and then it just turns into Q&A anyway. So yeah, let me know. Hello. Hey, Hazar. Thank you. Robert. Hey. Oh, great. Okay, cool. I think my microphone is eliminating some background noise. So yeah. One of the things I want to talk about right away, ask your questions, let me know where you're from, what type of engineer you are, but mostly, what are you guys trying to figure out? What can I help you with? Study stuff, networking stuff, how to get an internship. If you guys are still looking for virtual internships for fall, kind of probably winter break of 2020 into 2021, let me know what you're trying to do. But the biggest thing I can suggest for you guys is that you start reaching out to people for informational interviews. That's the biggest thing. I have a video about this. But essentially, you can have a meeting with an engineer who's like 5 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you in their career, and you can get to know them, get to know the company, get to know the role, and basically figure out if this is a role that you could be happy in, that you would like, mostly that you would be interested in, that you could be passionate about enough to engage with it in a positive way every single day. And so the sort of the playbook for this that I help people do is figure out the top 5 people in your life right now who can help you get that job or internship. And those people would be, for example, professors in college. These might be an old boss or somebody that you volunteer with. Hey, Danny, what's up? Hey. That's awesome that you're still at work. 2020's been okay. Been trying to get 1% engineer back off the ground. We've done so positively. But that's what you got to do, guys, is write down the top 5 names of people that can help you get a job. Somebody, for example, Danielle Schroeder right here in the chat. She used to be a part of Society of Women Engineers at Drexel. She used to run the whole thing. And so she had some contacts there, some other leaders in the Society of Women Engineering group, like Serena Yombe, who's on the team here. If they kept in touch with each other, maybe Serena is on Danielle's top 5 list for, hey, maybe I should reach out to Serena because Serena's already working, we're about the same age. So write down your top 5 people who maybe already have a job. Maybe a friend who's a year older than you or 2 years older than you, or somebody who used to be in an engineering club or a society with you who you know is successful. Reach out to them. Let them know, hey, I'm looking for an internship. I'm looking for a volunteer research position this fall, this winter. I'm looking for a job because I'm about to graduate after fall 2020 in engineering. So write down those top 5 people. And then finally, keep the questions rolling, guys. We're going to get right back to it. And then finally, what you do is you try to do research on 5 people in your home city who have an engineering job that's kind of similar to something that you might like, and you do the same thing. You cold approach them on LinkedIn. How do you figure out who these people are? Well, you should know the engineering companies that you might be interested in who are right in your backyard, and almost every company, just like Panoni, where I'm pretty sure Daniel still is. We used to work together, which is funny. has all the people's names and emails on the website, so you can actually just reach out to them directly, or you can go to the company profile. If you type in a company like Jacobs, or if you type in a company like Betchel or any AECom, you can see all of the people who work for that company in your city. You have those type of powerful filtering techniques and tactics within LinkedIn. So that's what you guys need to do. Taking questions now. Danny, thanks so much for stopping by the stream. This is awesome when real life friends. Networking is key. Derek, second year mechanical engineering at ASU. Good school. Got my first internship lined up for next summer. Awesome. Look at that, guys. You got more than 6 months to go, 7-8 months to go till next summer, and Derek already has an internship lined up. It's not too early. Congratulations. I'd love to know how you got it, any tips you have, or things that you learned that we can discuss tonight on the live stream about your success in landing that internship. Awesome, Derek. What you can do to make the most out of it, that's a great question, Derek. What can you do? Finally, that equipment's done. Oh, no, it's not. Here's what you got to do, all right? The best thing you can do in your internship, in your volunteer role, is go walk away with one champion. Have your boss be so impressed with you, or a supervisor, or it can be somebody just in the company that you've bonded with, but walk away there with a champion. And then you can keep in touch with this person for the rest of your university days, the rest of your career days, because even if you don't end up working full time for that company, or maybe in 2 years, 3 years, you decide like, hey, this isn't the company for me, or wherever you end up, these people that you know in real life are the best resources for getting future opportunities. So the most you can get out of it is the relationships with people. Wow them so much, connect on a higher level, do something to stand out so that you can maintain these relationships forever. Tip number 2 is walk away with that role, walk away from it with a portfolio. Make sure that you ask permission and that you have the ability to show samples and examples of your work so you can show your technical expertise and you can quantify your value for future opportunities, because it's okay to just knock one domino over and then the second domino over and then the third domino over, but what you want to do is create a snowball and a chain reaction for your career, and that way you can go bigger and better and keep going up the ladder and use one relationship and one success to keep going and rocket ship to the moon. So does that help you, Derek? Guys, go ahead and smash that like button. I want more people to see this in their feed right now. We usually get up to like 45 or 50 people in the stream just randomly with no marketing, no announcement, which is really cool. Hey, Rose. Glad, thanks for stopping by. Let's see here. Robert, thanks for the question. Mechanical engineering, currently second year, currently at a community college, is using Chegg bad or looked down upon? So I did a video, the team and I, what we put out was the top 5, 6, 7 apps for engineers in 2020. Chegg is on there. I can't believe how awesome Chegg is. Chegg.com, Chegg.com, guys. Chegg started off as a way to use textbooks and get free resource support and things like that. But now you can pay a premium per month and you can literally email questions, take photos of your questions when you're stuck, and a tutor will help you figure it out. There's also lots of other tools and support things. I just can't believe that for a premium service, you can have somebody help you solve these problems if you're stuck. I think it's an unbelievable resource. You just don't want to lean on it too much. You actually need to know how to do it. So too much lean is not great, but having a support tool like Chegg, I think, is a great resource nowadays. Hey, Anastasia, thanks for stopping by. Hey, Yamazuki. Hello, engineers. Robert Torres. Best way to email him without seeing all. I don't know what that question is. And Robert, let me know what you're trying to figure out, and I can answer your question. Abdulaziz, yes, as an industrial engineer, how can I combine my interest in AI, business, positive impacts, and maybe sustainability? Well, that's great. I see, business is always a part of engineering. Every engineering firm is in usually the services business, and they're out there to provide a service to then be consultants and get paid for that. So there's always business. Positive impact and sustainability go hand in hand, so you can combine those. What it seems like you need to do is work for a company that incorporates AI into their energy engineering or sustainable engineering practices. We actually just did an interview. Thank you. Shout out to you, Rose Delaney, with a company in Europe called Climeworks. Climeworks is a company that essentially puts mufflers on the top of factories and puts infrastructure so that the pollution on top of an industrial environment doesn't even go out into the atmosphere. And one day, they, if not already, they are going to use AI because they were already talking about dark plants today, which means it's a chemical plant or an industrial plant that almost basically doesn't have any people there because everything's running on itself. So there's other examples of companies out there like that, but you need to discover those in your home country, in your area. Climeworks is a good way to get started just for ideas. Rose, thanks again for stopping by. I'm really proud of you for today, running that interview and landing the relationships with Climeworks. I think you're in a really good situation for the future. I'm really proud of you. Danielle Schroeder. Go ahead and follow, connect with Danielle Schroeder on LinkedIn, guys. She is a super power engineer. We met because she was running a Society of Women Engineers group, her and Serena Yambe, and she's just awesome. Also, ask for midterm co-op intern review. Yeah, absolutely. So when you do a co-op or when you do an internship, you should ask your supervisor, your boss, your team, how you're doing, and essentially let them know what you would like to get out of it and how you could be doing better for them. Essentially, what does success look like from their perspective? That's a really powerful question, and they will know that you're on for the long haul and things like that. Keep the questions going, guys. We are doing Q&A tonight. Probably going to only do this for like 45 minutes or 60 minutes. I'm still trying to figure out if Fridays are going to work. Fridays Eastern time are going to work for people. Even if you're over across the pond in Ireland, maybe you can stop by the stream. That's what Rose is doing right now. Derek, thanks so much for the advice. No problem. I just applied early, made sure my resume was looked over by a professional at ASU. That's great. So Derek said that one of the keys to getting his internship so early, 7-8 months in advance, was having a professional look over his resume, and he practiced STAR interview questions. So STAR is a format of interview questions. I'm sure I've seen it around. I don't know enough about it to comment, so maybe you can add something for me to incorporate into the stream, Derek, because I'm not as familiar, but I do recognize it, but I can't say a whole lot else. Nurul Islam. My school offers a double major in engineering and engineering management. Very cool. Financially, it doesn't make sense to spend an extra year. I agree with that. Typically, that extra major doesn't do a whole lot for you, especially if you need to pay more or delay your career by an additional 2 semesters. I love engineering, but I hate working for other people. Well, that's part of the game, typically. Even if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to go out and probably learn some stuff. I worked for 8 years in engineering before leaving behind to join a startup. So just know that you got to put in your time, because right now you don't know enough to kind of build anything. So you kind of have to go get started and sharpen your teeth. He says, I want to start my own company. However, also, what makes you say that? Everybody says that. Do you have any experience running your own business, or have you created a project with so much work that you feel confident enough to say that? I feel like a lot of, like, it's sexy nowadays to say they want to be an entrepreneur and start their own thing, but the reality is that most people, it's not the right fit, and that's okay. I haven't even, besides this, I joined a startup team. I didn't even start my own engineering company or anything. Like, maybe one day. It takes a lot of time and knowledge and resources and really experience to start your own thing. But learning from other people who started their own thing is a really good way. That's what you should be focusing on. You're all Aslam. That's honestly the way to go, is don't start your own thing yet, because you're probably not even 21. However, my parents tell me to work a couple years and then go for entrepreneurship. Oh, weird. Sounds like what I just said. That's exactly what I think the plan should be. Justin Nixon. Hello, Jake. I'm a second-year civil engineering student from Ghana. Awesome. I'm a civil engineer, guys. What website do you recommend for virtual tuition? I've never heard of virtual tuition. Currently, I rely on eKita, and I'm hoping to expand. So this is kind of one of the things, my perspective as an American living in America with an American degree, and most of the business I do. I did work and live in Canada for 4 years, but I really can't provide a perspective on being a Ghanaian engineer and doing tuition. Virtual tutoring? I'm not even really sure what your question is. I don't know what virtual tuition. You must be saying tutoring. But yeah, I'm not sure. I can't really help you with that. I'm sorry. If anyone else has a suggestion, please let me know. Robert Torres, what's the best way to email something about an internship? What a good question. I really like these pointed tactical questions. Best way to have a good first impression in the email. Okay, this is a really good question. So what you need to do is you need to know exactly who that person is and what they're trying to figure out and who they are. For example, okay, say you met at a job fair, you're interested in meeting a company at a job fair. What you need to do is you need to know exactly what that company is up to right now. What awards did they just win? What projects did they just land? What are they doing in the headlines? That way, if you have relevant information, typically over the last 3 to 4 months, That's a really powerful thing. The other thing that I like to do when I email somebody about career things is I say how they or their team or their company has inspired me to be like them. Hey, just want to thank you again. Like say you met at a job. It's easiest if you've met somebody, but you're saying specifically, I want to answer your question. Email someone about an internship. Well, you'd have to say that, you know, it's your dream or you're inspired to do what that company does and you want nothing else than to get an internship there because you're inspired by this type of work and, you know, this award that they won because of this type of direction in engineering. You want to have relevant, connected information, and you want to show that this is the clear next step for you, because it's really hard as a gatekeeper or somebody who's working in engineering or a career person in general to provide friction to somebody who so much wants this next step. It's if you say, hey, you know, I've been doing this for 8 years and I did this and I did that, and then your company is the perfect internship for me. That's a really powerful message. So that's my advice there. Rose, thanks, Jake. Danny also did an interview with Luis. Yeah, that's great. They're a good fit. Both structural engineers. A great listen on Engineering Our Future podcast. I'd like to give a shout out to Luis, the host of the Engineering Our Future podcast, who has had people like Rose Delaney and Danielle Schroeder on it. So go check that out, especially if you're interested in anything structural, anything bridge, anything building related. All civil engineers, go ahead and check it out. Hey, Jeremiah. Abdulaziz goes Bilo? Billo? Yeah, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, guys. Doing Q&A for another 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, something like this. So go ahead and drop your chat. So go ahead and hit the like button too. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't yet, get into the Discord channel. Go follow Rose Delaney's 1% Engineer. It's called One Engineer Nation page on Instagram. She is the director of our Instagram community. Getting pretty close. I don't remember what the follower count is nowadays, but several hundred are there. I think it's getting close to 300. I think we crossed 300, actually. Jeremiah says, hey, Jake, I'm studying mechanical engineering at BYU, Brigham Young University. It's a good school in Utah. What advice would you have for developing networking and soft skills if an engineer wants to do a startup business? Okay, so same thing. Those are kind of a loaded question because you know, you need to develop networking and soft skills no matter what you're doing. And if you're going to create your own business and you're going to be a part of, you know, if you're going to be a startup founder, then your communication is even more important. My suggestion is you should be using any information or any opportunity to go to any networking event and just talk to people and throw yourself into situations that make you uncomfortable, because the more you walk right up to people and talk to them who are older than you and intimidate you, the better and easier the better you're going to become at it, and the easier it's going to become over time. Always try to hang out with people who are ahead of you, who are smarter, faster, and deeper into their career than you, because if you're hanging out with your regular friends all the time who are the same status as you in life, then you guys aren't really helping each other. So it's fine to study with and hang out with all these engineers who are basically your peers, but honestly, you got to learn from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was the top 5 people. Okay, you become the average of the top 5 people we spend the most time around. So if you just switch out one person that you're hanging out with and spend like an hour a week with somebody who's 2 or 3 years ahead of you. Think about it. If you're a sophomore in university and you join an engineering club and there's some seniors in there, befriend one. Spend some time with one, right? This is how you can learn more, faster, better, stronger, and you can get into better networking positions. If you know older engineers, say you're at a networking event or a conference or even a virtual thing, and you know some engineers who know more people than you, even spending more time than a professor, you can ask for connections to more people that they know. So these are skills. But I think go read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's the best sort of communication, networking, how to kind of wow people just by saying different things and positioning them to be the star, how to listen better. Those are my best tips for you there, Jeremiah. Abdulaziz, thank you for answering my question, but if you had the choice to be a full-time student executive or either engineering, entrepreneurship, or AI club, which would you choose? Do both. I don't know if I understand the question. If you had a choice to be a full-time student executive, I don't know what a student executive is, because that's not a thing. You know, are you talking about starting some startup before you even have your degree? I'm really confused about what you're talking about. Gio says, what should I learn before I enter university for mechatronics? First of all, that's cool if you can get right into a mechatronics program. That's kind of rare. I think what you need to do is learn as much advanced calc and get a head start on the tough problems. So start to review fluid mechanics, start to review, mechatronics, start to review some thermodynamics, start to look at Calc 2, start to look at dynamics, and the classes that you're going to kind of struggle with because everyone does. These are like the weeder feeder classes. That's my biggest thing. Otherwise, same thing. Pick a professor, invest in them. Pick one that you think is like the highlight mechatronics professor and figure out everything about their career and their research, and then try to volunteer with them. Things like this. Hey, Grant, what's up, man? This is awesome that you're here. So Grant and I used to work. I actually talk about you here and there, Grant, because there's not a whole lot of people who are our age who are making the level of money that you are, bro. It's really good what you've done for your career. Have you ever considered writing a book or share all your advice with engineering students of the world? Yeah, of course. I know you have as well. Grant was working on this really cool project where he read a whole bunch of MBA books for a bunch of different masters in business administration courses, and then I think he planned on writing summaries or going around and doing talks about those books. So that was a really cool strategy. Have I ever considered writing a book? Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have encouraged me to take all the interviews from engineers and really take summaries of all the videos and write a book. I think it might happen one day. Great idea, Grant. I would love to know when your book's coming out, bro. How you doing, man? That website, that ski website project that you did was super cool too. Rose says, Star is our Network Tip Wednesday post. Oh, that's right. I knew that. That's why it sounded so familiar. Bilo, how normal is it to be an undergrad engineer in 5 years? Okay, great question. So, depending on where you are, some co-op programs are always 5 years. Some university ecosystems are always 5 years. It kind of depends on that university environment. My University of Delaware always did 4. Where I did grad, which was University of Wisconsin at Madison, they always did 5. So it kind of depends on the culture. It kind of depends on the program, that sort of thing. Great question. Noral Islam says, should I attempt entrepreneurship while being in university? No, I don't really think so. I have a good time and management skills. See, the thing with being a student, and even the thing with being somebody who's before you're like 25, I mean, you really have to be like these people you read about. Here, let's put it this way, guys. The average age of a startup founder in tech is like 45. Okay, so this whole thing of like a kid at Harvard wearing a hoodie starting a company is so rare that they call them unicorns, especially to then go on and sell for $1 billion. So it is not. It's a whole big facade that some kid just starts an app and makes a bunch of money. It's not a thing. So don't romanticize and trick yourself about how you can do it before you even get your engineering degree. Most of the time you can't. It's just statistics, okay? What you need to do is go get some experience and learn from people who have already broken and fallen down and built something and retried. You want to be on those teams. You want to learn. Go work at SpaceX for 5 years and see how an Elon Musk run team works. That's the way to learn more, not start your own thing. You don't know anything, you don't have any relationships, you don't have any money. So what's the point in starting something? You want to start something because it sounds cool and it makes you feel awesome and it makes you feel cool. But everybody says, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean anything anymore unless you're actually in a situation to start something. And if you're a student, you don't have any of those things. Robert Torres, how can one improve their public speaking skills? Just walk up to people all the time and start talking to them, especially at networking events. You can join Toastmasters. You can join all types of little virtual scenarios where you can practice public speaking. You have Speaker Slam, follow that. It's a Canadian speaker competition. See, they do like 3-minute to 5-minute talks. Watch a lot of TED Talks. Just start to study, okay? And then put things to use. Learn storytelling, okay? Go look at Joseph Campbell's what is that? It's Hero with 1,000 Faces. Learn the art of storytelling. Go read Carmine Gallo's. Hopefully that was an engineer who tweaked the crap out of a Mustang. Go read Carmine Gallo's Talk Like TED books and learn how to actually construct a really awesome presentation. But usually it's the more that you do, because I remember being terrified at public speaking back when I was your age, guys. So you just got to do it a little bit more. No problem, Danny. Hamza says, do you have any general advice on applying for and securing an internship? Yeah, we've kind of been talking about that all night. So what you got to do is write down the top 5 people who you know who can help you get a job, and also top 5 avatars of people, like the versions of people who are in your city who are working in engineering roles who can potentially take an email from you, take a phone call, do an informational interview, whether that's virtual or not. But you kind of have to figure out a hit list of people to connect with and help you along the way away, whether you know them already, and nice, you have your book and you can connect with them or not. So that's awesome, Grant. That's really cool. I want to buy your book. Send me a link to that. That would be great. Link your book in the chat too. That's awesome. So Grant has such a cool career, guys. I'm going to take a second to talk about Grant Waldy. So Grant studied engineering in university and then got right into sort of being a bridge expert. And then everybody asked me, oh, how can I be hands-on? How can I work in the field? So Grant became a bridge inspector, and he would do these crazy trips where they would hike all the way around an island, Vancouver Island, out west in British Columbia, and literally do like 120 bridges and be out there for like a week and do crazy amounts of hikes. He used to fly to different places all around Canada and America just doing bridge inspection. And what he did was, there's a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And that's basically what Grant did. He made himself irreplaceable within the company. And I remember when you hit like a couple years ago, you were telling me you were making $120,000 at 30 years old, Grant. That's blew my mind, man. That's a really good salary. And this is what you did. You really pushed it. And then he was always working on side projects. He built this website that was like a ski hill aggregate for all of Canada. I think it was even all of America too. And then he did this book. He already read a book. He's an author. He's like 33, 34 years old. I think you're not even 34. There's no way. I think you're a year younger than me. 32, 33. He's already got a book. And what do you think Grant's going to keep right on doing? He's going to parlay that into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Okay, so Abdulaziz says, no, I meant choosing between being on club management as a student. Yeah, do that. Or either engineering entrepreneurship or AI club. Do both, man. I was a part of like 3 different clubs. I'm trying to find my jacket. 1 second. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I mean, I was a part of all these different clubs. That's what you guys need to do, is join it all. I mean, you really got to say yes to as much stuff as you possibly can until you are so maxed out and so stressed out that these things don't really help you anymore. So, I mean, being a leader for an engineering club or something like that is very beneficial because you can show leadership on your resume, and you're not really going to get the same type of experience at the AI club. So they're very different pieces of information that, oh yeah, you're 1987, yeah, awesome. There's very different sorts of benefits that you're going to get for your career. So I think you should do both. Is it hey? Gigi, hey? I think it's hey. Hello, do you have any tips for a fresh mechanical and design engineering graduating from a French engineering school and looking for a first job, cover letter, resume, companies? I mean, it's the same thing, guys, is write down the top 5 people who you know who can help you get a job. These are old professors, old internship bosses, things like this. Captains of your solar power car team, presidents of your Society of Women Engineers Club, things like this. Anybody who was in some sort of authoritative leadership or a position of power and influence is somebody who can help you get a job, because these are not just regular people. These are people who have connections and power. If you're getting a little bit of lag and it's slowing down, it's because there's less light out here and I think my camera's just slowing down, but that's the way it is. It seems like I'm talking in slow motion, but I'm not. Obada. My country doesn't pay a lot for software engineers. Should I pursue that path? What advice would you give for a person who wants to pursue a software engineering degree? So I really dislike the approach. Thanks, Jeremiah, for connecting with me on LinkedIn. Everybody go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn if you want. I'm just Jake Voorhees on there. You'll know it's a bald dude with a big smile. It says 1% Engineer Show in the information. You'll go ahead and find me. So I think that it's a really bad type of attitude to pick a career based on the money and the salary and how much money it makes. Software engineers had a really big boom for a while, and you know, there's just more of a market saturation for that today, and you have people who can compete with you who just have a boot camp, sort of coding boot camp type of thing. So, I mean, anybody who chooses something for the money is most likely walking into a gold rush, and that gold rush is going to be over in 5 or 10 years, and then you're going to have to think of something else. So what you need to be doing is choosing something because you're interested in it. Choosing something, hey, what's up, Jalal? It's awesome that you're here. Dr. Ja. Go ahead and go subscribe to Ja Hayes right there in the chat, guys. He was one of the fastest chemistry PhDs in America. I think you were the fastest, weren't you? You have your PhD at 22. What a cool guy. Go check out his TEDx talk. I'm pretty sure you got 2 books now, right? 3 maybe, Dr. Ja. So does that help you? Odaba. That's how you say it, I think. So don't choose something because of the money, because what if the money changes? You're going to be unhappy. But if you choose something because you like it, if you choose something because you're good at it, if you choose something because you can make an impact, then it's okay if the gold rush sort of subsides. You can take your time to pivot and evolve and figure out what you want to do next. But if you choose something for the money, you're almost never going to be happy. Abdulaziz, I probably can't be on both clubs because they don't exist, but well, then why are you asking me this question? But I'm planning to start one of them. Oh, interesting. So start the AI club. That's the one for you to start. But I have a hard time deciding pros and cons. So what were the two? I thought you were saying to be an engineering leader at a club or be a part of an AI club. So I'm still confused, but I think you should do the AI one. You're also going to find more students who are interested in AI than probably anything else. So that's the avenue for you. Ebai Boris, go ahead and answer your question. You don't have to retract it if you have a question. Danny says, woo, I'm definitely partial to SWE, Society of Women Engineers, but yes, professional organizations are a great way to gain leadership skills while still in school. So I always see Danny gets invited. Danielle, we're talking about Danielle Schroeder, EIT, in the chat. She gets invited because of her historic. Here's a good way to think about your situation. Odaba. Danielle was a leader at within the Society of Women Engineers for Drexel, and then she would get invited to speak at conferences, and then what she could do is meet more people and get even more relationships, and then keep in touch with. Imagine reading like somebody who's on the national board for Society of Women Engineers, and you connected with them at a conference. You spoke for 15 minutes, and then you emailed them 3 days later after the conference. You said, "Hey, thanks so much for the." They probably don't even remember you, but if you email and you said, "Hey, thanks so much for that advice that you said about how to network and get co-op positions when we're talking at the water cooler right after the keynote," and then you keep in touch, and then you can ask that person for connections. You can ask that person for advice. You can ask that person maybe for coffee and a phone call, and then a little bit after that you can ask for a letter of recommendation, and it goes from there. So definitely you can parlay leadership positions with clubs and relationships with people who have leadership positions at engineering organizations, societies, clubs, and it's a really good resource, guys. Dr. Jalal. So go ahead and check out, I think it's Elite Network, Elite Universal. I can't remember the exact. Go ahead and plug your company, Dr. Ja. He does a lot of STEM education and does a lot of talks and puts out content about how to be successful. A lot of stuff about entrepreneurship. Jalal's been an entrepreneur for a long time, so you guys should go follow him on Instagram. Go ahead and drop your stuff in the chat. I got 3 made. I knew you had 2 or 3 books, but definitely we'll connect soon. No problem. Appreciate that. Abdulaziz says engineering entrepreneurship versus AI club. Okay, 100% do AI because again, who's going to join your club? You guys don't know anything about entrepreneurship. Like maybe if you were in the business school or you're in an entrepreneurship major, but like there's so few engineers who are actually going to go on and do it at this phase that I think AI club is the one. And because if you do the AI club, maybe you guys can start to build things and make things that are going to be an entrepreneurial solution for something in the future. So that's the way to go, in my opinion. You know, here's one tip that I heard from somebody. There's no right or wrong in entrepreneurship. There's only opinions, because usually the good ideas are the ones that people will tell you not to do. So trust your instincts and just go for it and pick one. Don't stall out and do neither one of them because you suffered from analysis paralysis. So don't do that. Robert Torres, is there a drag strip engineering club racing cars? I think what you want to do is join Solar Power Car. That's the one. There may be, if you go to an intense automotive university, like if you end up at University of Michigan, because it's in Michigan where, you know, Detroit was home of General Motors. There's a big automotive influence there, so you might have something like that, but I've never heard of such a thing. Maybe you should start the first one. Ibai Boer says, hey Jake, I study network engineering at the Faculty of Engineering and Technology. Do you think going for the Cisco certifications would be preferable? Not really. Not in engineering. I mean, we even hire for the startup that I'm a part of. We look at Cisco and A+ and these certifications. I mean, it is what it is. I think for an engineer, I can't really comment if it helps you the most. I think, again, it's who you know and what you've done in your internships. A certification, they know you can just study and then take the test, but you don't have much experience necessarily. You don't know anybody, right? So I don't think it's hugely important. You know, it can't hurt, but I doubt it's going to be a game changer. Odama, no problem. Diane, what's the weight of having the importance of being in Dean's List? Not at all. I'm a really big fan of trashing the GPA thing. So you can't get a 2.1 and expect to then go to grad school or to work at NASA. Try to get a 3.0, guys. Most people would rather see you have a 3.1 and all these clubs and all of this experience and lots of internships and research volunteering and things like that than if you had a 3.8. I don't want a 3.8 on our team. 3.8 means that all you did was study and you were a bookworm and you probably don't have as much experience and you definitely don't know as many people and you don't have life skills or communication skills. So Dean's List, guys, typically you get on there at like 3.5 or 3.33. It's good to have, sure, especially if you want to go on and get into an MBA program or a competitive academic environment, but it's not that big. Weep Weep says, could someone get an associate's degree in engineering technology and transfer into an engineering program, or does it depend on the university? Great question. So almost always, you can do what they call a 2+2, where you can start a 2-year, this glare's getting a little crazy. It's just from my computer. You can get, I guess if I do this angle, you can get a 2-year degree at a community college or a 2-year engineering technical program or something like this, technician program. And generally, for example, I grew up in Maryland. There's some schools, community colleges that are basically feeder programs for the University of Maryland or for all of the California state schools or the Texas programs. I know every single city in Texas, every single city in California has community college or 2-year programs that are essentially what they call 2+2, where you can have nearly like 80, 90, 100% of your credits will transfer into a full engineering program. Okay, so yeah, I do think it's great. I think it's an awesome thing to do during COVID if you can, because you basically are going to be sitting in your dorm room anyway, so you might as well be sitting at home saving a lot of money. Dr. Jalal says AI Club is the wave and the future and a great niche for upcoming STEM boom. So you heard it here first, guys. Dr. Jalal Hayes is telling you that the AI Club. So you hear that? Odama? I don't know how to say it, but you have a cool name and you have a secondary piece of advice about AI, so go ahead and get that. Jared, how you doing? Just started college and I'm aspiring to be in aerospace engineering. Any tips? Absolutely. So where are you? Oh, just started college. So my question to you first is, are you a mechanical engineer or are you an aerospace engineer? Like, are you in an aerospace engineering program? Most likely you are not. You're probably in a mechanical engineering program and you're interested in aerospace. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're building relationships with anybody who has access to the aerospace engineering industry. So these are going to be professors who teach aerospace engineering tech electives, anybody at your engineering school who does research in aerospace engineering. You should be cold emailing and trying to focus on networking with aerospace engineering companies and military defense companies, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Raytheon, these types of companies, okay? But mostly what you got to do, what you got to do is position yourself to have more momentum and more competitiveness around your aerospace engineering sort of avenue than other people, because chances are you're going to have a mechanical engineering degree and you're going to need to just stand out. Jared says, that was already asked. Thanks for the question. Give me any follow-up information. Ray Samaru. I wonder if I can turn on my phone flashlight and you guys can see me better. Ooh, maybe that works. Yeah, I'm just sitting outside, just enjoying the nice weather. Over here in Delaware, where I currently live, guys, it is like 70 degrees, and I know that's not going to be the case for much more, so I'm trying to figure out this light so you guys can see me a little better. Hey, that might work right there. Okay. What about fuel cell cars versus EV? Cool question. I don't know if I can provide, or electric vehicle is what EV is. I don't hear a whole lot about fuel cell at the highest degree, but maybe somebody else can provide some insight there, because automotive isn't my thing. But I mean, if fuel cell technology is still ripping, I can't really provide as educated of an opinion. I think there's so much more momentum around EV that there must be a reason why that's more talked about. Part of the other thing is that I don't know about the progression of fuel cell technology, but one of the barriers with electric vehicle technology is battery technology. Okay, so every couple years, battery technology gets better and you can store more energy in the same volume of the cell. And I think that electric vehicle tech has just got to be the one that's going to take over. Great question. Mahir says, are you familiar with the grading system for UK universities? Even if I am, what's your question? Robert Torres, what semester of engineering undergrad would you say is the hardest? Semester number 2 is the hardest. They sort of load up the precursor like Calc 2, Calc 3 in freshman year, but if you can make it through, I think semester number 3, the first semester of sophomore year, if you can make it through there, you're almost halfway through, and then you're kind of at the point of no return. So that's my answer there. What semester of engineering? Yeah, you're in your 3rd semester, so there you go. Robert Torres, there's a club I want to join, but it's full of egotistic people. What's the club? Because if it's some BS type of club, then maybe you shouldn't. Ed Rodriguez, asada burritos coating fuel. Nice, awesome. Steph, will low GPA be a problem? No, I graduated with a 2.9 GPA, didn't even have a 3.0, got into grad school based on relationships, so I really don't think so. I'm doing all right. Yogi, will you be looking down upon by recruiters for majoring in engineering technology versus majoring in regular engineering? Okay, so I actually have a lot to say about this nowadays. I wouldn't have historically known, but so engineering technology, guys, is it's not an engineering technician. Engineering technology is an accredited, which means you can sit for the PE, so that kind of says it all. Accredited type of engineering program where it's a little bit more hands-on and applied. So it deals with the implementation of technologies rather than the analysis and the design of things. So for people who know what they're talking about, they will tell you that engineering technology is the same magnitude, and you may even have more knowledge and more applied sort of experience than a regular engineer. So I think you're going to be fine in that situation. Let's see here. Engineering technology is very enticing to me because they aren't required to take upper level math like Calc 2. Oh, you don't even have to take Calc 2? Dang! Jeremiah Scott, highly recommended the route of community college for 2-4 semesters. Guys, keep the questions going. I'm going to try to stream here for another 19 minutes, hit the hour mark. So drop them in the chat. All 28 of you, please hit that like button, smash it so we can get a couple more people in here and try to get up to like 45 people, drop a bunch more questions. Highly recommended, Jeremiah says, is it Jeremiah or Jeremiah? I think it's Jeremiah. Highly recommended the route of community college for 2 to 4 semesters, then transfer to 4-year university. Did you do that? Definitely saved me. Yes, he did. Definitely saved me some money in the long run. That's awesome. Nur al-Islam Kasif says, what do you think about nuclear engineering? Okay, so that's a really, really good question. So nuclear engineering is super powerful. We just don't know what to do with the waste. There's a whole bunch of people who think the only way for us to engineer ourselves out of this like energy crisis, our reliance on fossil fuels, is that we got to push nuclear. So I don't think nuclear is going to go away. The UK is building 8 new nuclear power facilities right now, so I don't think it's going to go away. We just should have learned our lessons, and let's not build them on fault lines. Fukushima, that was a big mistake in Japan. Would you know what kind of skills a mechanical engineering professor would expect from an undergrad as a research assistant? Okay. It depends what you'd be doing. So you certainly need to be a wizard with Excel and all the data management and things like that. If you want to learn things like MATLAB and R, statistics software R, MATLAB is a really good skill. You should also have probably some SolidWorks experience, and whether you can't get yourself on a copy of the software, just being able to know your way around, maybe going to the lab and learning that software is going to be really powerful. So go ahead and do that. Grant Waldy, I did engineering technology. See, I forgot that. Oh yeah, you did at Camosa College. That's what I remember. Did you get 2 undergrads then, Grant? Is that what you did? How can someone get into nano robotics, nano engineering and technology? So what you got to do is go get an electrical engineering degree and push that, and just go into nanotechnology. Robert Torres, what are some great companies to look into that would have to do with solar panels and renewable energy? Okay, so in the solar panel conversation, there's a whole bunch of manufacturers of solar panel technology, but I love Elon Musk, so Solar City, his company, go ahead and look at them, and also look at all the other companies that provide things to Solar City that Solar City works with. I know it's getting really dark out here, guys, but it's fine. We're out here doing blackout live streams. That's just what it is. So look at that. About renewable energy, I really like how you asked a pointed aspect of your question. You said solar panels, because renewable energy could be anything, right? You could work for a company that makes wind turbines. You could work for a company like Climeworks that Rose just interviewed that creates the rooftop infrastructure for industrial applications, so the pollution doesn't even go out into the environment. You could work with a company that literally is like a biomedical company that manufactures bacteria to clean up oil spills. Like, renewable energy is super duper widespread. You kind of got to narrow it down a little bit more. So I'd love to answer more of your questions if you can provide more insight there, Robert. You've been doing great with all your questions. It's really cool. You'll get is right. It's pretty easy math for the first 2 years. Then you transfer to UBC was very difficult and lots of advanced math. So there you go. You heard it here first from Grant Waldy himself. Hopefully that helped you. You'll let us know if you have more follow-up questions of that. Laker for life. Do 2 years of community college in-state, and we'd look like in-state tuition and then transfer. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good suggestion. So what they're saying here, guys, is do 2 years of community college in-state, and then you just transfer. So the in-state thing is key because you're going to save money. I'm trying to figure out how to create this light so it's not either making me look like this, or we could do Blair Witch Project live streams. How about that? It is coming up on Halloween. Halloween spooky-ass live stream 003 coming at you here. Camosun. There you go. Grant Waldy, so that's University of British Columbia. Yep, there you go. It's in BC. That's where all my friends went because I lived in Vancouver for 4 years. Grant and I used to work together. That's why we're kind of talking about some things that we just know each other personally. We need to catch up, Grant. I miss you, bruh. You were my first friend in Canada, man. Patrick Larson, hello from Denmark. I'm a first semester student, robotics engineering, and I'm trying to start a robotics club. Great. Any ideas on what importance to gain real world knowledge? Any ideas on what would be important to gain real world knowledge? I think what you need to do is go find a mentor for your robotics club, and then that person who is a robotics expert will tell you what to do. Because I'm not a robotics person. I think that what you need to do is go recruit a champion in the industry in your local city. I'd move inside, but I bet you like 10 or 15 people are going to sign off, even if I stop for like 30 seconds. But we're just going to maintain this darkness, guys. Sorry. So I think you need to go find an industry champion and an academic champion, okay? So find a professor who can help you, whether they be mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, something like that. And then find an industry champion to help you as well. We can see you just fine. That's cool. Thanks, Grant. Robert Torres. Ha, 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 ha. Awesome. Okay, we only got one question, guys. So when the questions start to slow down, we might clip the live stream sooner. So go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. Jameson Ladybug. So what's in higher demand worldwide, electrical or mechanical engineering? Well, great question. So mechanical engineering, let's use the American perspective. So there's about 330,000 mechanical engineers hired in America today. About 300,000 also in civil, and then electrical is also 300. So we're splitting hairs here between the two. I think there's a little bit more applications for mechanical engineering, but then I think there's more mechanical engineering graduates than electrical engineering. So I think what you need to do is don't think about it again like how much money you can make or what's in more demand. What are you better at? So the difference between electrical engineering and mechanical engineering is this. So if you like to tinker and take things apart, then mechanical engineering is for you, especially if you like the idea of designing individual components and you don't necessarily like programming and coding. If you like to program and code and design components that may also have an electrical aspect around them, then that's the difference between electrical and mechanical. You have more of a connection into signals and controls, and you need to learn a decent bit of coding, and you need to be an okay programmer. In mechanical engineering, you can avoid it quite a bit more. Now, the difference between mechanical and civil, there's a far more difference between civil and electrical than civil and mechanical versus electrical. So the difference to how you know between civil and mechanical, me and Grant, we probably grew up, because I'm a civil, I can't speak for him, but Grant probably grew up building Legos, building buildings, designing things, drawing structures, and building forts and building things. I didn't take stuff apart and put it back together. That's what mechanical engineers do. I built Legos, I played SimCity, I built things, and that's why civil engineering was the right thing for me. So do you like the code? Do you like programming? Do you like robotics? That's electrical. The engineer guy, me and EE is pretty similar. Heavy differential equations and lots of jobs. Okay, ask a question or let me know. He says, and me and electrical engineering is pretty similar. Heavy and differential equations and lots of jobs. Cool. Ray says, do you know any engineering companies in New York City? Yeah, absolutely. I only live 2 hours south of New York City in the car. So let me know what you're trying to figure out. Laker for life. Do electrical or computer science? Yep. So computer science and electrical engineering is considerably different. Computer science is technically not an engineering degree, but I still give like chemistry, physics, math degrees, and computer science degrees. Basically the same sort of respect as an engineering degree, but there's a lot of computer science competition out there. You have access to quite a bit more jobs. There's 1.3 million Americans working in a computer development role. It doesn't mean all of them have computer science degrees, but some of them do. Rohan says, for a first internship application, what will be something that would help in getting the internship if you have no contacts or experience in the industry? This is a question that I get so much right now because everybody is trying to get an internship or a research assignment or something during COVID, and it's really hard. So again, what you got to do, write down those top 5 people who can help you get a job, reach out to them that you know, right? These are maybe a professor or two. This is the president of a engineering society or one of the board members of your engineering club. What about a professional liaison of an engineering society? Somebody that you met at a conference last year and you kept in touch with them. People that you know, okay? So those start there. And then in the city where you live in, develop 5 avatars of people or 5 actual profiles of people who are sitting in an engineering role that you could actually see yourself in. So the way that you find those people is you should know the engineering companies that are in your home city who are doing things like what you might be interested in. And so you go to their company websites, you look at their LinkedIn lists and things like this, and pick out 5 engineers and just cold message them on LinkedIn and follow up every 7 days until you get a response. Lego for life. You got that right, Grant. School equals life, GPA over life. I don't agree with you, engineer guy. Sorry. Tom Belize, hey Jake, how do I find my motivation when engineering gets tough? It's just so easy to lose hope. So I've been through a kind of rocky patch with dealing with some family stuff and some other personal stuff over the last couple weeks. That's why there hasn't been a regular Friday video, because things are just too crazy. And with all that going nuts, it is hard to focus and it is hard to keep right on grinding. And so what I focus on doing when I'm having a tough day or a tough sequence of days is I think a lot about domino effect, snowball, and momentum. Okay, here's what I mean. You may not feel like waking up and doing your work and working on that project or studying for that exam or doing your homework, but especially if you've been in a rut, it's so hard to restart the engine. So what you got to do, guys, when you get out of a rut or just to find inspiration or motivation, kind of motivation is bullshit. What you got to do, Joe Rogan really talks about this, is, doing hard things is what successful people do. And so what you got to do is you got to get up and just do something to get momentum. That's why the Marines, they talk about, hey, if you want to be successful that day, if you want to have a good day, make your bed, okay? And so the reason for that is that if you do something productive, if you get up and you do your laundry, if you get up and you clean your room, if you get up and wash the dishes, if you get up and do something productive, then you feel good. You get a dopamine hit. Your body, when you found food or you've crossed off something in your to-do list that leads to survival, which is primarily what's happening when you do your homework or you finish a project, it's something that has advanced your social status and your ability to survive in this world. You feel good. And then you want to chase that dopamine release a little bit more. You'd be more likely to sit down and actually start your homework. And then you do one problem that's like, wow, I'll take a little break, and then it's easier to do that second problem. So I find that creating simple wins and creating cycles so that you can actually start to just rebuild that momentum is what works for me when I'm not feeling great. Danny says, Lego love. Yeah, that's right. Another civil engineer talking about how they use Legos to basically know that they are an engineer. Jameson says, awesome. Thanks for the advice. No problem. Ray says, trying to find full-time and go to college. Trying to find full-time work and go to college. Any tips on time management? And I would get caught up. So I don't know, your question is a little choppy and it's hard for me to understand what you're asking, but time management to me is all about utilizing different tactics and staying on plan. So I really like writing down the top 3 things I need to do that day, the top 3 big things I need to do that week, and the top 3 things I want to accomplish that month, and then sort of break them down so that I know what I need to actually do each day to progress towards those goals. Tactically and in the weeds, I really like the Pomodoro technique, which means you study for 50 minutes, take a break for 10, or do work for 25 minutes, take a break for 5, and then you do that 4 times, so 25-5, 25-5, 5 times. And then after 2 hours, you take a legit 30-minute break or something. You really reward yourself, go for a walk, go to the gym, things like that. Time management is all about that. I also think spaced repetition is a very powerful tactic, which means if you start early and you space out the amount of times that you need to do something, you actually can focus on it less. You can study less for less total time, and you accomplish more if you space it out. I also am a big fan of a book method. I carry around 3 books. I have my journal, sort of like note-taking book, which if I'm in a meeting or if I'm in class or something like this, I write down everything I want to not forget. My second book is my to-do list. That's exactly what I need to do, those 3 things that day or those 5 things that day, and I only cross them off when they're done. And if it's important and I didn't do it that day, I carry it over to the next day, and it goes to the top of the list the next day. And then finally, I carry around like a little post-it note size sort of flip notebook. It's very small. And when I'm working and trying to be productive, the way that you need to utilize time is you need to not get distracted. There's no such thing as multitasking. It's fake, okay? People who can sing and dance at the same time, or sing and play guitar at the same time, they're doing one on autopilot. There's no way you can consciously be doing 2 tasks at once, minimizing and reopening and minimizing. There's this thing called distraction residue, and you never hit flow state. You never get those gamma waves and those alpha waves back in your brain. You get into flow if you keep getting distracted. So I use that 3rd book that if I think like, oh yeah, that's right, I need to send this email right now, rather than doing it and distracting yourself, write it down on that 3rd book so that you know you can cross it off your list in like 8 minutes after you finish that engineering problem instead of getting caught up. Okay, no problem, Jameson. Gio says, what is the first major I should start with to reach Formula 1? Become a mechanical engineer. Formula 1 is cars. So anybody in the automotive space should be a mechanical engineer. Jameson says, should I cover my prerequisites at a community college first? I got here as you were finishing that conversation and missed it. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so a lot of people are a big fan of doing the first 2 years at a community college. So a lot of your prereqs for engineering will be covered there. So yeah, I agree with that. Ray says, I'm an automotive tech trying to pursue my dream of mechanical engineering. Would my experience help me land a job or internship? Absolutely, because you know stuff. You know, you actually can get to work and kind of make that company money instead of them wasting money teaching you something. Legos is love. That's 4 or 5 people who love Legos. Let's take about 3-4 more questions, guys, and then we'll wrap this live stream right before 7 p.m. Eastern time. Robert Torres, oh no, I already did. Bilal says, I'm an electrical engineering and mechanical. Is electrical and mechanical course a good course? Yeah, absolutely. So electrical and mechanical are both one of the big 3. I think the only difference between the 2 is that if you like programming and coding, computer science type of person, then electrical is the one for you. If you just like to tinker, hey, Zick! If you like to tinker, then and you like to design components and things like that, then mechanical is for you. So Zick, I want you guys to go ahead and search for Zick Simon, Ziksim. in LinkedIn, and go ahead and connect with her. She is our young woman in engineering and a video editor for 1% Engineer. I've really been stalling, and she's been bored because I haven't sent her some work in about a month because I've been in this weird state, as I just told you guys. Zick, I'm going to be home in the studio this weekend, so I'll be sending you some more things too. What degree should you get if you want to work for Tesla? So it's really cool. We just still wrapping up that first sponsor video, Zick, but we used a SpaceX role, and in the SpaceX things, which that's one of the Elon Musk companies, so Tesla is very similar to how SpaceX is run. In most of the job profiles for SpaceX and Tesla, it says things like engineering degree required, meaning they will take a mechanical, they will take an electrical, they'll take a mechatronics, they'll take a robotics engineer, things like this. So I think for Tesla, mechanical or electrical is the way to go. Probably electrical, more so than mechanical, because you're going to have more of those coding, and you're going to have more skills to be a better, faster, stronger engineer. Because Tesla, you're really going to work quite autonomous. So if you can build scripts to do more of your work for you and automate things, and you can do about the same amount of work as 2 engineers versus 1, that's going to be really powerful. Jameson says, what are some major international engineering companies? Interesting. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit biased towards sort of like the engineering services, big design build firms, because I'm a civil engineer, so I don't really know the mega behemoths internationally for some things like mechanical or electrical, but you have your AEComs, Bechtel's, you have Jacobs, you have your CH2M Hills, which I think was acquired by Jacobs, by the way. But yeah, I think what you can do, they release the top 100 engineering firms by size every single year. So go ahead and just take a look at those. And then you'll also be able to figure out if those people, based on what they do for engineering services, if they hire electrical engineers, if they hire mechanical engineers. So there you go. Ed Rodriguez, do you think the quality of engineering school has diminished because of Zoom? Interesting question. Do you think recruiters will want to hire Zoom engineers? Ha ha ha. Well, we don't have any Zoom engineers yet. You may have an engineer who did their final year or their final semester over Zoom, but honestly, the situation is the situation, okay? I don't think they care about educated over Zoom. Here's what they care about. If you're a COVID-19 graduate or a COVID-19 sophomore or junior in engineering right now, it may be harder for you to get that internship. It may be harder for you to complete your co-op in the way that you would normally. It may be harder for you to volunteer for a research role with your professor at university, so you may come in with less experience and less hands-on applicable skills. So what you got to do is this. We just recorded this video. We'll just completed more of the post-production on Thangs.com, which is the official sponsor for 1% Engineer right now. Thangs.com is a platform where you can build your own portfolio in the cloud. It's all free. You can start showing what you can do. So you mechanical engineers and you electrical engineers out there, go check out Thangs.com and other platforms where you can get started and learn and show what you got. So if you can't get a job in engineering, get an internship, or you can't get that experience, you got to build it yourself. So that's the biggest disadvantage. It's not you're a Zoom engineer. You're a COVID-19 engineer with less applicable skills. No problem, Ray. Balad says, is dual course better or just a single course? I really don't believe in double majoring. I don't think it adds much value. So that's my opinion there. Honestly, nobody in the history of the world has really said, oh yeah, but this person's got 2 degrees. You know, it just doesn't matter. Because your first degree doesn't mean anything anyway. It's a piece of paper. What they really want to know is who you know and what you have done and what your experience is, which again gets back to your internships, your club experience, were you a leader for senior design, things like this. I'm on my 3rd year electrical engineering. I hate Zoom. I fully understand that and empathize, Ed. Thanks so much. Hey guys, going to get here to the grand finale of the live stream. Drop your final questions into the chat. If you get them in before this thing says 61 minutes live, so you got about 60 more seconds, I'll answer your question. I'm on my, okay, Ladybug. Jameson says, dope. Jameson Ladybug. Love that. Opta Balista? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it's a cool one. Thanks, no problem. Marshall says, which engineering, mechanical or electrical is more oriented towards power production? So, great question. So power is one of the big avenues within electrical engineering. You have electricity and magnetism, you have circuits, and then you have power. That's one of the big brackets. Kind of like in civil engineering, your core things are transportation, structural, environmental, water resources, things like this. For mechanical, you have thermal, you have, I'm blanking on what the big avenues within mechanical engineering is, but mechanical engineering only has, it's heating, ventilation, air conditioning, that's one. You have thermal, and then manufacturing. So those are the big 3 within mechanical engineering. And so for electrical, again, it's E&M, electricity and magnetism. So if you love physics and more of the theoretical stuff, then that is for you. If you like circuits and more of like a programmer, sort of like controls and signals, then circuits is for you. And power, can't really speak to that, but if you want to work in power generation or the power industry, then that's what you should do for you. How do you have great impact on an internship? So, again, I don't really think you can have an impact on your internship. I think you can leave impression on your supervisor, boss, or somebody in the office such that you walk away with a great relationship. That's your absolute best possible situation with your internship. Aiden says, any opinions on combined mechanical and electrical degrees? Interesting. So that's kind of like a mechatronics degree. I think it's great. So many people people ask me about mechatronics. I still need to make the video, what do mechanical engineers do? Mechatronics engineers do. Final question. I'd love to end this on a Grant Waldy question. Thanks for coming out to the stream, guys. Grant says, would you ever consider coming back to the corporate engineering world? Absolutely. We miss you. Thanks, Grant. Our BD department needs someone with your energy. Actually, so you know what? I have thought about that, and in the last 4, 5, 6 months, I guess it's more like 6 months now, restarting 1% Engineer, I have actually, Grant, realized how much I do miss the actual engineering sector. I've been out for 2.5 years now officially, and it is weird, especially being back talking with you guys and doing all of this. And you're exactly right. Business development is what I would look into. Because, you know, I think about Mark and the roles that he had. He would go out, and he was a guy who's in his 40s, early 40s, and would go out and just work for like 6 months to try to land a big project. I know Mark didn't always land big projects, but eventually people in his role would, and that is something that I would consider. So yeah, Grant, we need to catch up no matter what. So let's talk. Jameson, I will take grand finale bonus question. Grant was the last actual question, grand finale, extra credit question. It seems like a lot of companies are going green to minimize their carbon footprint. Absolutely. With that said, which engineering major would help me stand out for those companies? So again, there's not like a sustainability engineering or a green engineering like core epicenter type of degree or focus career-wise yet. There will be most likely some engineering. There is sustainable engineering degrees exist. Don't get me wrong here, guys. But I think what you need to do is essentially be somebody who is building expertise and connections within the sustainability engineering ecosystem. So just like Rose Delaney on our team, she's building relationships with that company called Climeworks. She did an interview with them today. And so I think that's what you need to do is take more tech electives in sustainability engineering, build more relationships in sustainability engineering, meet and network with more people who are there. Try to look into certifications, like try to look into what being LEED certified, or take courses about incorporating LEED into your designs and your work, things like this. So again, it's kind of like, you know, I get a lot of questions. How can I get into aerospace engineering as a mechanical engineer? You just have to position yourself to be in that. So standing next to people who are doing that, getting internships and research opportunities there, volunteering there, joining, maybe even starting a sustainable engineering club or joining one, trying to get a leadership position, going to conferences there, things like this. That's the way to go. Danny says, come back to the engineering world. Yes, we miss you. I have talked to Marcus Widener twice this year about working together and doing things. I love Pannoni and the company that I'm pretty sure you're still there. And the time that was spent there, it was just a timing thing for me. And you never know, Danny. So we'll see. Jameson, no problem. Guys, thanks again. Let's talk. We need to get on the phone. I know I missed your call twice when we tried to set stuff up. I need to, I started setting more and more alarms for those calls over COVID-19. So thanks again, guys. It's been a great 65 minutes with you guys. We're doing this live stream kind of randomly, a lot of Friday nights. We've done 3 out of the 4 last Friday night live streams for the 1% Engineer Show because we've been missing deadlines for the actual show, and I was in Maine last Friday. But come on out, join the Discord, follow the links in the description for any of these videos. I don't think it's in this one yet, but you'll find that there's about 800 engineers in that. Sign up for our newsletter. We got about 4,000 engineers there. Go ahead and check out Danielle Schroeder on LinkedIn, Grant Waldy on LinkedIn, Zick Simon on LinkedIn. Connect with them, and you will not regret it because they are all superstars in the industries, guys. Yeah, still at Pannoni. Awesome. Thanks again, guys. And if you're a 1% engineer, if you're a young engineer who wants to rise to the top 1% of your career, we empower young engineers here at the 1% Engineer Show. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on future notifications and things like that. See you again in another video, guys. Be safe out there, COVID-19. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Thanks for stopping by. Typical Rawson. Check out the next live stream. See you later.